The End SARS protest arose as a movement against the incessant police and incessant brutality perpetrated by a notorious police unit called SARS, many being the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, formed in 1992 to combat armed robbery and serious crimes in Nigeria. The majority of those engaged in the protest were youths, mainly because they were the most affected by the incompetence of the unit, becoming victims of extortion, criminal profiling, robbery, and more. The protest officially began on October 8, 2020, led by musical artists like Runtown and Fast, before it gathered momentum nationwide and globally. 3 days to the protest, the Inspector General of Police, that is Mohammed Adamu, announced that the unit would be disbanded, but the youths did not back down because it was the same old tune, words without actions. I myself have gotten into an encounter with the police before. I was beaten before I even even before I was put into the police vehicle. I felt the need to join forces and also document the protest, which represent the might of the Nigerian youth. On October 2020, on October 20, 2020, the Lagos State government invited members of the Nigerian military to ensure a newly imposed curfew. 2 hours before the curfew began, the Nigerian army opened fire on peaceful protesters, singing Nigerian national anthem and waving Nigerian flags at the Lekki toll gate. Eyewitnesses reported seeing dead bodies being carted away in trucks by the Nigerian army as they tried to cover up the evidence. In the early hours of the next day, the Nigerian army denied any report of its involvement, branding it as fake news and calling every visual evidence photoshopped. The latest report of the atrocity involved the Lagos State government and the Nigerian army shamelessly pointing accusing fingers at each other. October 20, 2020 will always be remembered as the day the Nigerian government murdered its citizens. I used to wonder why our parents don't really do enough to contest the decision made by the government. Sometimes I do ask, I just look around and see that they just go with the flow. When they bring out policies that when the government bring out policies that are bad, that are are not going to help the masses in a good way, and our parents just go with the flow. They how am I going to put it? They adapt to it without challenging it. It's discouraging. When I start reading history books and looking back, I discovered that they have had their own fair share of brutality because from the 90 from the 90s and from the early 90s to the late 90s was more like a transition to from the military regime to the democracy regime, and there were a lot of brutality during those regimes, and our parents were part of some people that were protesting, and some of them did not even make it out alive. So ever since then, they have been quiet and passive towards any government decisions going on. So, but seeing the youths not waiting for their parents to take charge, not waiting for decision of their parents, not waiting for anybody to give them a go ahead before they can air their opinion against the government, is something nobody was expecting in Nigeria because they were directly affected. Criminal profiling by the police, like you can't dress good. And then nobody say you're doing fraud. Because I know everybody says a lot of Nigerians are doing fraud, but there's some good paying jobs that you can hire with, like tech jobs. There's some freelance graphic designers, and we have a lot of like photographers too in Nigeria. They can earn well with this one. So, but when you dress well and you're going out, they see you like, oh, you're dressing well, you must be doing something like fraud, or you're driving a fancy car and you're doing something like fraud. So it has been occurring for a long while. And some musicians that to listen as some musicians have a used them in songs. You understand? So it was very bad. So it got to a point where some recent there were some recent incessant killings coming consecutively. and Nigerians feel like they've had enough. So it begins with some few musicians here there. They led the protest, and when they led the protest, it started moving from the moment it started moving from state to state, like it started gathering momentum, and from there onward, it became a nationwide event without any planning, without any committee, nothing. Everybody just started going out for protest. And to be fair, I was very, very glad seeing that my Nigerian brothers, my Nigerian sisters had to come out, make time, make their own time to air their opinion and to let the government know that whatever happens, they will still be in charge and they will always have the say in the things that are going on. I've also had my own fair share of police brutality before. Um, I work for when the restaurant I work for. They had an issue with the noise complaint, and the police came with some the officials came with some escort to lock down the place due to noise complaints. And we were supposed to have a gig that evening. So I called my friend. We were working together for a restaurant. That is the gig still going to happen? Are they going to solve it before evening? So I took a picture of the fact that the gate has been locked by the security officials, and I sent it to him. So one of the policemen saw me and said, "Okay, what am I doing? How am I taking pictures?" So he took my phone and they started beating me before I go to the van. Before I got into the van, then they began driving me for minutes, going from places to places to lock down other places. And the people who work for the manager had to like try and call me. They never allow me to answer my phone. Try and call and try to track me down and speak to them to let me go. So at that moment in time, I know that in some other cases, some young Nigerian youths wouldn't have survived. You never can tell what the situation might be. It might be late at night where they feel they might shoot this guy and nobody's going to know what happened. That they might just dump his body somewhere because they have a series of issues like that were uncovered during the protest.
Do they keep that on your record that you're a photographer and that you took pictures?
Yeah. Look, I didn't really go to the station because my managers they allow me pick my phone for a little while and they allow my managers track me to where they are. So they spoke and they pleaded and they allowed me go. So I really get a station to put in any record. So ever since then, it has been everybody has to be careful nowadays. So there was during the October 2020, um they invited the Nigerian army to come and because the Bilakito Gate was like the main center of everything, and the Nigerian youth had been there. They've been camping for days, and did not allow vehicular movement. The Nigerian military were invited, and some people advised the Nigerians were there that if they wave Nigerian flag, they sing Nigerian, that they are going to respect it.
Hey folks, I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you're interested in learning more about the photographer, you can check out more of their images and stories on our website, scop.io, and buy our book on any major online retailer or your local bookstore. Tune in to our next episode. And don't forget to subscribe. See ya!